Big breath,
Go.
big sigh, and here we are. On the two ends of the thermometer, Daphne and I are here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and Jay's in Sedona, Arizona, where 21 above is what you said it was. Is that correct?
Yeah, early this morning when I went out into the land to do some of the work I do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's, God has created such an amazing world that we live in where we have so many opportunities and so much uncertainty. And I believe that within the uncertainty is where the opportunity is to grow, to develop, to heal. And in the amazing synchro destiny, we meet the right people at the right time. We don't know when, how, where. It just all simply falls into a beautiful, graceful ease and flow. Doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that we're going to just, well, yay, it's a healing day. Because the healing days don't feel like the evangelical ministers when you go to a beautiful Baptist church and you get to hear the song and the dance and the amen and the hallelujah. Sometimes it feels a little bit more like a cat being dragged into a pool. Because healing requires a lot of courage and a lot of faith. When we find the right person to guide us, then it feels a little bit more safe. And I think safety is one of the most important parts of the healing experience. It's like a mother holding a child. When you can rest in the arms, it's better. It's better. So Daphne and I were talking before you came on, Jay, about the beautiful, beautiful portals that we both have. And the portals allow us to work in person or at a distance. Daphne's got one right now. What frequency are you running, Daph?
I am running the miracle frequency on the portal and on the infrared light and the violet light. I mean, the infrared does the physical and the violet does the emotional, deeper emotional and the auric field. And it helps to clear any cellular memory of any injuries or deeper emotional trauma that someone is dealing with. That's, I'm not sure if I should explain any more or not.
Well, the synchro destiny of how it came into my life was amazing because Daphne helped me for quite a few years, Jay. I struggled with, I started with my shoulder, bursitis, migraines, mass anxiety, a lot of different problems that I had, physical problems. And then my mom landed in the hospital, and it was a real struggle for me because I didn't want to have to depend on Daphne all the time to be there with her. And I really wished that I had my own. Then I entered a contest and I won the mats. So there's frequency mats that they plug into. So I won two beautiful mats. I won the small mat, which I'm sitting on, and then the large mat, which is the size of your body. And then the portal plugs in.
Can I interrupt you? Can I just, because she won these mats and she's like, what can I do with these mats? And I chuckled and I said, well, nothing without a laser or a portal. So anyways, go ahead.
Then I had to choose to invest my money in something. And I'm really grateful that I did. It's just changed my life in so many ways. I'm able to help family and friends here, there, and everywhere. And it's made a big difference in my life. When you entered the realm of soul connection and transformation, what was your journey like, Jay?
How much time do you have? Yeah, it's interesting because, well, first and foremost, I want to thank both of you for inviting me into your show, into your podcast, because the two of you are making a difference in other people's lives, and it's always an honor when I have the opportunity to step in and share. But I think for me, what it comes down to is that we all have a threshold for pain, and some of us, our threshold for pain is lower than others. But we're done. When we're done, we're done. And when we're done living in pain, that means that we have the courage to step in into what I call surrender. And unfortunately for me, my threshold for pain was extremely high. I was able to, push through and continue to embrace the lifestyle that was creating a lot of internal pain for me, a lot of medical conditions that popped up in my mid 50s. They started in when I was 48 and I had a heart attack. But I didn't get the memo that I didn't get the 2x4. I needed to get a little sicker. So for me, the start was the threshold for pain when I was 54 years of age. And I had what some call a spiritual awakening. It happened in a hospital. And through that process, I had to make a choice. And the choice is a real simple question. Did I want to live or did I want to die? And part of that initial epiphany that I had was that I, like many other people, are miserable. They're hurting. And we don't have the courage to commit suicide. So we take a different path. And that path is it's on a more on a subconscious level. It wasn't a conscious level. It was clearly self-conscious, at least for me. And that journey was do everything I could do to hurt myself, harm myself, and perhaps I'll be taken sooner than later. But it wasn't a conscious choice I was making. It was just the lifestyle that I was living. I abused myself emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, and sexually. And and by the time I woke up, my body couldn't take anymore. My pain level was so high that I had amassed roughly 9 different medical conditions. And that was the journey. That was the awakening that happened. And through that awakening, I had to make a choice. Do I want to live or do I want to die? And when I made the decision to live, I had to be willing to step away from my life as I knew it. And I embraced what we call the healing journey, what I refer to as the journey of coming home, to return to self, to return to the part of ourself that we've abandoned as young adults, which is the heart or our soul. And we spend most of our time living in our egoic mind to avoid feeling our pain because we're so afraid of if we feel the pain that we don't think it's possible to live. So that's the short answer. For me, that was the beginning. Was my second rock bottom that brought me that moment of total clarity. And the clarity was for the first time in my life, I really was able to accept this truth. And the truth was that I hated the man I had become. I hated the husband, the father of 3, the son, the sibling, the friend, the employer, and the employee. And there was nothing I was left with where I was at peace. And I realized in that second breath that it was time for me to take accountability and no longer blame other people in my life that I had been in intimate relationships with in a marriage of 30 years and a relationship with my mom of 54 years or probably 55 years with being carried in a womb or so. And taking accountability for me, what that meant was that it was a choice. Do I want to continue to live, to continue to take these life choices on this path that had brought me to a dead end? Or do I have the courage to give myself permission to die on every level so that I could rebirth in the same lifetime? I could find my way home, discover the true essence of who I am, because I already then understood who I had become and I was no longer at peace with me. And so that was really what precipitated all of that all of that journey. And I tell you what, it's been over 8 years now. And it's been the greatest gift of my life. Not everybody has this opportunity to rebirth in the same lifetime. Many of us die in pain.
Mhm.
And I'll just say this, ladies, is that we always have a choice.
Yeah.
We're either living to die or we're dying to live. And I finally had the courage to step in and explore what could dying to live look like. To have the courage to do things I never thought was possible in my own lifetime. And that's been the joy. That has been the essence of me recovering my own joy in my life.
Well, I would say, Nancy, you're kind of on that same journey right now, aren't you?
Oh, mine has been quite similar in the similarity of pizza. There's a crust.
Right.
There's a crust. And I did grow to a point whereby I did not have any value within myself. I couldn't stand looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't like my inner dialogue. I didn't like my outer dialogue. I was filled with hatred and rage. And learning to dissolve all of that wasn't something that I had ever experienced before. So it was the layers and levels of people that came into my life in the most magical ways. I still remember the day that I'd driven my son Chansey to school, and we'd gotten into an argument. He was really struggling after his sister died, and he slammed the door of the silver navigator that I was driving, and my entire day was changed because I was late for many appointments. So I just, looks like it's a calendar change, and the phone rang. So I politely answered it, very businesslike, good morning, Nancy. How can I help you? And it was a man that I had been avoiding for a few weeks, probably closer to months. And he offered me the opportunity unexpectedly to go and visit a lady who was a psychic medium. And it was through Frankie's assistance that I was brought to Bach flower essences. And it was a radical change in my life that took about 18 months before I was even close to working through the anger and then the grief and all the different layers and levels. And I still use them on a regular basis. I love them so much that I learned how to use them. Not everyone learns how to use the tools and techniques. Some people enjoy the experience of healing. And there's so many different modalities that we all use that all involve, whoops, wrong button, choices and second chances. Lots of choices, lots of second chances. And in this world right now, Spirit gave me a word, charlatans. There's a lot of people out there talking about the quick fix, the quick healing experience. So everything's going to be just like boom, boom, and it's done and it's fixed and it's great. Well, that's heroin or that's cocaine. Been there, done that, right? Like that was effective in the short term, but in the long term was very destructive. So when you're choosing a healer, a support worker, a coach, all the different titles that we all have, it's I mean, hire a investigator to look into them. Seriously, find out who you're working with, heart, mind, and soul, before you take that leap, because you can invest tens of thousands of dollars on transformation and still be at that point where you're living hell on earth, not heaven on earth. You're making lots of money, but are you making a difference?
That's a brilliant question you asked, Nancy, and I'll share with you from my perspective of the individuals that I work with today. Many of us get even addicted to the healing journey. We chase it, we run towards it, meaning we go to the next event, we read the next book, we listen to the next podcast, we go to the next retreat. We keep investing money, and what ends up happening is that we become smarter, meaning we have more intelligence, we have more knowledge
Mhm.
and understanding. So now we can speak the language. But here's what I experienced with so many of the individuals that are on that journey of seeking answers. They pick up more knowledge and intelligence, and they think that's enough. And what they find out over a short amount of time is nothing's changed. They can speak the language, but they're not walking it. And the true essence of the healing journey is all about applying it. It's all about commitment to it. It's all about consistency within it. It starts with courage. I refer to it as 5 or 6 C's. The first C is courage. The second C is commitment. How committed are you to the process of not just being highly educated, but committing to the process of creating daily habits or rituals or practices? I love to call them non-negotiables, creating new daily routines that have you learning more about who you are at your core, at the soul of the heart space. And the other piece of that is consistency. If you're inconsistent, you're going to end up with more inconsistent results. And then the fourth C is compassion for yourself, compassion for the process, compassion to understand that there are going to be days where you are irritable and discontent. There's going to be days where you can't stop the tears. There are going to be days where you feel frustrated. But tapping into trusting the process and having faith that when you stay with it, it's not a question of if, it's only a question of when, where you'll start to have those epiphanies, those breakthroughs, those serendipities, those synchronicities, where it'll all start to come together. But the key to that is get out of your head and get out of your house and get into nature. Nature has got such a huge, powerful healing component. No, you don't have to be in Sedona to have the energy vortexes as we're known for. I didn't start my healing journey in the energy vortexes of Sedona. I started them in a community called Huntington Beach, California. And I didn't know then that the movement of the water creates the negative ions. Negative ions also provide healing. It's kind of like when you take a shower. When you take a shower, how often do we feel revived? Do we feel refreshed? For years, I had this story around. I thought it was because I must have been dirty. I didn't realize how dirty I was. Once I got cleaned, I felt so much better, so much energy, so ready to go. It has nothing to do with cleanliness. It has everything to do with moving water. Moving water creates a healing energy. And that healing energy kind of permeates throughout our entire body. It infuses within us. And that's when we really get to experience the true essence of healing. We got to get out of our house and get out of our head and step into, even if it's for a walk. Something as simple as a walk around a neighborhood. Grab your dog on a leash and pick the music that fills your soul, and then just start walking.
Well, I walk daily with a friend of mine who lives down the street. She's got 2 labs, and we walk every morning at about 6 o'clock in the morning. Although now that it's got cold, we're going to take some time off. But yeah, neither of us are really morning people, but we meet every morning and we walk. And by the end of the walk, we're feeling good. So yes, I can attest to what you're saying, Jay.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's so true. So true. It's when your feet meet the earth. That's called, isn't it called earthing? Isn't that what the terminology is for it, I think?
Earthing or grounding as well, either. Yeah.
I prefer grounding, but earthing is a neat term.
Yeah.
They both are earthing and grounding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the sun, just standing in the sun and just letting the sun permeate, to get the rays. And I mean, people have their own opinions about the sun, but I mean, I don't stand in there for like 3 hours, for 5 minutes, maybe just to soak it in. The DNA or the extra vitamin D for me always helps me feel good.
The photons. The photons. Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
It's a beautiful way to live. Go ahead.
That's why I spend most of my days outside, whether it's sunny or cloudy. I'm out there, but yeah, I love the sun. Absolutely. It warms us up on not just on the external, but it will warm us up on the internal. And the internal is really what matters most. That's where the heart is. That's where the soul is. That's where a part of us has been living most of our adult life just waiting for us to come home. It's called the child within.
Yeah. Yeah, and we all look at children and see such a miracle within them when they're born. My third granddaughter is now a part of our physical world, and to look at those teeny tiny hands and feet, it's beautiful. And then to take that expression home and look at my own hands and look at my own feet and to remember all of the steps in my life, the different mountains I've climbed and the summits I've reached, and then the pitfalls. Because when we talk about rock bottom, it's a different experience for everyone. And quite often, rock bottom is dead, like you said. And there is a certain amount of courage. I agree with you, though many won't, about the courage to commit suicide because it's not something that you just willy-nilly do. It is there's a relapse of many things. In any addiction that we go through, there's that relapse period where we're thinking of shopping again, where we're thinking of using alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. Oh, I'm just going to work another day of 14 hours. It's I need that fix. There's a relapse that happens before the actual fall. And when you begin to recognize that in your own life, then you can prepare for it. Self care is a huge, huge part of a successful healing journey.
It's interesting you share that, Nancy. I found that when I had the first health scare, and I asked the cardiologist, "What do I do to get healthy?" He said, "It's simple. Just lose 40 pounds and join a gym." And I did that for a couple of years, and then things heated up one more time at home and at the office, and I threw away what I call my emotional sobriety. I stopped going to the gym. I stopped eating healthier. Of course, when I asked the doc, well, what's healthy food look like? Um, all he could say at the time was just pick up the Mediterranean diet. That was it. And what I didn't know was fast forward when I hit that second low at age 54, and I chose a very different path. First and foremost, I chose not to go back to the gym. Why? Because what I didn't know up until that moment was the gym is filled with a lot of people in pain, a lot of people that are suffering. And I didn't want to exercise anymore. I didn't want to have a workout. What I knew I wanted to do was I wanted to work in, not out.
Mm.
And I didn't want to be around people in pain. And that's why I found my way in nature. And it was no longer about working out through exercise. It's about motion. It's about movement. All I do is I move. I walk, I hike, I free solo, I rope climb, whatever it is I choose to do. I ride my bicycle today, even as a 62-year-old man. And it truly is about movement. And it's a new way to embrace the healing journey. And it's interesting when doctors talk about losing weight. I'll let you in on a little secret. Um, I lost 40 pounds, but when I lost my emotional sobriety and I went back to my old unhealthy habits, I picked back the 40 and I put on 20 more. So now I'm 60 pounds overweight. I was legally obese and just just so sick, so unhealthy. And I realized that this time around, I'm not on a weight loss program.
Mhm.
I'm not here to lose weight. Why? Because it's like a set of car keys. You lose car keys. And then what do? You search for your car keys because you lost them. I'm not in the business of losing weight because It's not something I want to seek again. But what I did instead was allowed the weight to dissolve.
Mhm.
I allowed it to fall off of me through making healthy, conscious choices around nutrition, something that Western medicine really couldn't offer me. Getting educated, learning what is healthy for me, what is unhealthy for me. We live in a society where we talk about good or bad, right? What is good for me? What is bad for me? The issue with good or bad, or other words like that, is they actually have negative energy with them.
Mhm.
They bring us to shame and they bring us to guilt. You've been a good boy today, Jay. You're going to get the ice cream. That feels good. And then you've been a bad boy, you get punished. So taken a lot of words out of my vocabulary today that have a lot of toxic energy, like good or bad, or I feel worse or I feel better. We don't have to use those words as we describe how we feel about ourselves.
Mhm.
Today we can today we can actually embrace I feel healthy. I am healthy or I'm unhealthy. There's a different energy vibe. Do you feel that? The different energy between healthy or unhealthy versus good or bad?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we embrace an understanding of how the foods feel, everything changes. We need to understand our own individual bodies much more. There are great people that can help us on the path and on the journey, but to be the observer of how we feel when we eat a certain type of food, big, big power there. And I mean, our metabolism changes as we age, so we've been told.
Uh-huh. Tell me more. What does that mean? So we've been told.
But when you buy into the belief, then
Okay.
I know your body adjusts according to that belief and that frequency.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah.
I have friends in my life today. They're in their mid to late 70s, and they are in healthier shape than men that are in their 40s because
Beautiful.
they value something part of their life, and
Mhm.
they're healthy, meaning that they take care of themselves. They make healthier choices in food. And so they have the energy. One of my friends is, I think he's 73 years old now. And when he gets out of the pickleball court with me, and he's the one who introduced me to pickleball court this late fall, early winter here. I had never played pickleball. I played racquetball as a kid. I played tennis. I say as a kid, as a teenager and a young adult. But by the time I was in my mid 20s, I wasn't playing any sports on a court anymore. But this guy's in his late mid 70s, and he's running and gunning as though he's a kid. And when he shows up on a court, I see more of the child come out and play than I see the 73-year-old man play.
Well, and you know what? That's amazing because that's something that I said to Nancy one time is, I love being around children and toddlers because everything is so exciting. Everything is just new and an adventure and exciting. And when I'm with a child, I just, I love feeling that excitement too. So in my life and in my experiences, I've decided to be in that energy more
There you go.
because it's so much more fun. Right?
So when you're in that energy, even something as simple as riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
When I ride the bicycle, more days than not to go to where I meet the clients to do my work, I'm not riding my bicycle as a chronological age I am. When I'm on that bicycle and I got my music on, I put music on that the kid within me wants to listen to.
Yeah.
While I'm pedaling 13 minutes or so, I'm on a play date. I'm in play.
Yeah,
And I tell you what, it changes the whole relationship, Daphne.
for sure it does. For sure it does.
Absolutely.
I wake up excited every day for what adventure I'm going to find. And
There's
when
so
people,
many adventures every day. There's so many. I mean, when people ask you how you are, what do you say, Daph?
I say that I'm magical, and they look at me with kind of a funny face, and I say, honestly, that's the way I choose to live in that energy, because it's so much harder to not live in that energy.
Mhm.
You know,
Takes a lot
my
of effort to be somebody other than yourself.
right, and to be sad is no fun. And so I choose to be happy, and I choose to do things that bring me joy, and I choose to be happy. These are all choices that I've made in my life. And it's funny because somebody said to me one day, I want what you're having. I said, you can just choose. The choice is yours. And in my mind, I mean, it's not really, I guess, that. For me, it was, I can't even say for me it was easy to get to, because I had to go on that whole healing journey as well. But this is where I'm at now. And I am grateful to be where I am.
Someone
Yeah, not
may,
everyone, not
someone
everyone
may,
has a near death.
go ahead, Nancy.
Not everyone has a near death experience like Daphne. There's so many bits and pieces of Daphne's story, and I mean that's why her memoir is so helpful, because in understanding Daph's story, and then the beautiful prompts at the end of every chapter is spectacular. Welcome.
Yeah, I figured the book needed. It's a story of my journey through life and the different people that have helped me along the way and the different experiences I've had. But that's why I chose to have a question at the end of each chapter, so that the person reading the book can turn it back to themselves, so they can think about themselves and how they choose to live, or how they want to live, or things that they've experienced in their life.
There you
It's all
go.
about that. Yeah.
Because everybody's journey is different, and that's why I called the book You Do You, because Jay, your experiences are different than mine, and Nancy's, yours have been completely different than mine, as I'm being a beta reader of your memoir right now, and I'm honored.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, this is the fun part. I was so afraid of this part. I went in with sweaty palms. Oh my gosh. And here
What
I
were you
am
afraid of,
just
man? What were you afraid
flowing.
of, Nancy? Do you know?
Oh gosh, afraid that there wouldn't be an understanding of the flow of my story, especially because it talks so much about the different times in my life, and I didn't have that proper outline. I didn't have a chronological story. It went from here in my present to my past, my recent past, my far back past, the characters.
Mhm.
What if you didn't understand? And then what if you judged me? What will everybody think? So much.
So part of that, and it was a question I asked. I pretty much had a feeling as to what you were going to say, and you landed right there. So much of the fear that comes through us as adults is not even our fear.
Mhm.
It's the child within us, our inner child's fear. And if we expand it even further, it's so much of that's not even the child in us. It's our ancestors' fear. It's who raised us. It may be a mother or a father or both, or whoever our caretaker was. So much of what we carry in our adulthood, on the energetic level, the low dense vibe energy, it's not even ours. I call it the great inheritance. It's we inherit our parents' core wounding, core belief systems that become ours because they are our teachers.
Yeah.
And so much of this journey that brings us to freedom within, what matters most is cutting the cords, breaking the chain, not with anger, not with blame, but with compassion in our hearts for our
Mhm.
ancestors, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our great grandparents, however many generations it may go back. But understanding that we have a choice, as Daphne said earlier, just a few moments ago, we always have a choice. We can continue to live along that path. We can continue to live in pain, or we have another choice, which is we embrace the pain, we feel the pain, we
Yeah.
honor the pain, and then we heal the pain.
Yeah.
Understanding that it's only here to be a teacher for us. It's not here to harm us. It's not here to destroy us or hurt us. But the pain that we feel, whether it be the physical, the emotional, the, the mental, the sexual, if there was, and even spiritual pain, we can release it. And how we release it is we step in and we identify, is this even mine? How much of this pain that we carry in our lifetime is not even our pain? It's our family's pain.
Mhm.
And then we get the choice. We get to say, not here, not now, not today. As they say, no more, no mas. No, thank you. Not with anger in your heart, but with love in your heart, enough for yourself to truly embrace the journey of surrender, the journey of coming home.
It's like living in a land where you don't speak the language. If we are transported into a world where we don't understand the language and we don't know what's going to happen if we say these words, we create a world that we don't even know. And that's what happened with our grandparents, our parents, our aunts, our uncles, our teachers. We have this big societal um, blame on many things, and there are a lot of things in society that have made life really hard and is still making life hard.
Mhm.
But there are so many ways that we can heal. Can't change. God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change. I cannot change the entire structure of the government or the healthcare systems, but I can change the way that I choose to heal.
So, one of the ways I chose to circumvent what you just shared is I once owned 7 TVs,
Hmm.
included the ones in the bathroom. But when I met Mary, um, she asked me, "How do you feel about giving up the TV?" I said, "How many?" She said, "All of them, all of them." And this
Mhm.
is, I was a guy that I was hooked. I mean, I used it for entertainment, but I
Mhm.
used it for escape.
Mhm.
I used it as a form of escapism. That's what we do. Whether we're using TV, alcohol, drugs, people, sex, food, work, cigarettes, gaming, social media.
Mhm.
It's been over 8 years. I haven't had a TV in my home.
That's a
Are there
radical
things,
change.
are there things that I miss? Not really. If you were to say, come on, Jay, I don't believe that. There's got to be something that on occasion you like to watch. And here's the truth. At times I go, I kind of miss the sports.
Okay.
But here's the truth. Every time I do consume a meal outside of my home, which is not that often because there's not a restaurant in Sedona that can create what Mary does. She's an incredibly creative
No,
private chef,
beautiful.
clean private chef. So I am in Nirvana every single day that I consume. Engage in the meal with Mary. However, but when we do go out to eat, there's always a TV in the only restaurant we will eat in because it's gluten free and it's pretty much they have a vegan menu there, so we get to consume. And the TVs are on in the bar, and as I glance at that TV and there's always sports on, I don't
Mhm.
spend more than 5 seconds at most watching it. the train has left the station. It's not important for me anymore. I'd rather be engaged in a conversation of substance, conversation connecting soul to soul with a friend or a client or my love, my beloved Mary, than watching a sport where it's football, where these grown men are tackling each other aggressively. And it's like, it just serves no purpose in my life anymore. If I want to enjoy a sport, I get dressed up and I go and I play the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was
Yes.
talking to a client this morning and I was explaining the concept of putting some skin into the game. That if you want to succeed in what it is that you feel is important, then putting skin in the game is important. And I was talking about the financial skin. We were looking at ways of creating a portfolio of property that was comfortable for this future endeavor. And I was explaining it and it wasn't making sense. So I described it as you got to put some skin in the game, just like when you play a football game and you leave some skin on the green grass when you get tackled. And all of a sudden the light bulb went off. And I'm like, okay, that's it. That was an understanding that made sense. We play sports because it's a game. We want to win. We want to accomplish. We want to achieve. And then we get that achievement, we win that game, and then we go on to the next game. That's the way that the adventure is, the hero's journey. But there's a heart in life. So when you understand why it is that you want to own that property, what's the heartfelt desire? And what are you willing to risk to go there?
Well, and that's another thing, like circling back what you were saying, Jay, and you were saying, Nancy, is how there are so many different ways for people to do things in so many different modalities, and everybody's at a different place in their journey. And what you needed to talk to about with your client this morning, Nancy, about putting skin in the game, Jay could have a client that there's somebody that he would have the same concept but bring it in a different way. Do you see what I'm saying, Jay and Nance?
Yeah, of course.
Like it's just everybody is where they're at, and that's where we need to meet them where they're at and walk with them on their journeys.
Yes. So important.
You know what's
and that's why
interesting
there's
about
so
yeah.
many.
You know
Go
what's
ahead. So
interesting
many
about
journeys, so
that?
many paths.
Yeah. What's interesting about what you just shared, Daphne, is that many times I find clients that show up, they're not even consciously aware as to why they're in so much pain, why they can have such success even in business. But when they look at their personal life, their personal relationships, there's a disingenuous relationship between the business side of themselves and their personal life side of themselves. And so sometimes part of our role, if we are in that role, is to guide them, is to understand, ask the key questions, understand just enough about a little bit about their past and how they show up in their present. And when we have done enough work in our own journey, we will be able to have a greater understanding as to what's holding them back. Why are they living in this inner turmoil, this inner cage of paralysis, of fear, of pain?
And I've sorry for interrupting, but I've had people come to me, like you're saying, that there's so many people that don't see it. And like Nancy was saying earlier, they want the quick fix of what's wrong with me. How do I fix this? And for myself, when I'm working with clients, I choose an approach more of that, asking questions. They'll ask me to tell them what's going on. And that's when, I mean, and I know both you and Nancy do the same thing, is to meet them where they're at and ask the questions. And I personally help them to discover themselves, I guess you could say, for lack of better words, but I help them to find the answers within themselves, because people are, you guys both know that people are so disconnected on so many levels, that when the light bulb goes off, it touches them even more, right?
Well, when that light bulb goes off, as you just described it, who else receives the gift?
Mhm.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Every single time.
Mhm.
Every day when I come home from the work I do, and I am so filled up. I am full. I am full of emotions. I'm full of the pain as well that I've held space for with a client per se. But I'm filled with so much gratitude,
Mhm.
and the gratitude and the emotions I'm filled with are, what are they? They're the ability to witness when that epiphany happens, that breakthrough, that, as you described, the light bulb going off.
The
It's
sparkle
interesting.
in the eye,
Yeah, you see
right?
it. It's like a total shift. The whole body shifts. Their eyes open up
Mm-hmm.
like that, and it's like, oh my god. And as soon as I see the gateway,
Mm-hmm.
the portal to the soul, the quickest gateway. We talk about shortcuts. There aren't too many, but I tell you one that I've found is the shortest portal to the soul is through the eyes.
Well, and that's what I mean with children. Things are always exciting. They've always got their eyes open this wide, soaking everything in, right? So I get what you're saying.
I want to ask you this, because this is something that comes up all the time. Go ahead, Nancy, and I want to share something about the child.
Well, and then the way that the child falls asleep,
Mm-hmm.
or like right there in the soup,
Oh
or
yeah, the
whatever it is, right?
soup
Well,
trick.
what I mean,
I forgot
the
about
soup.
that one.
How many times have we seen our children fall asleep in
Yeah.
their plate of food, right? It's a beautiful way, and if we could become more, as we become more of that, there's a beauty to that. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, what I wanted to share, yeah, I know the two of you are just going to so understand this, is that how often when we witness a nephew or a niece or a friend or even our own infant that perhaps we have birthed, there's a draw. We are seduced into asking our sibling or our friend or even a stranger, may I hold your baby for a moment, your infant? And then we hold that infant and we smell the infant and we almost don't want to give the infant back. And then the other awareness is, as an observer, is when you witness someone pushing a stroller, how often do we peek in? Do we take a sneak
Mm-hmm.
into the stroller? We're sneaking a look to see what? What are we looking for? We know it's going to be most likely an infant. And I'll tell you, what I've concluded is why we are so easily seduced by an infant, why we so much want to hold that baby. Because that baby, that infant, has what we've lost, the pure essence of joy, the pure essence of love without conditions, yet the pure essence of love without trauma, drama, or pain. And then we spend the rest of our life as the adult chasing after everything that that infant has. And
Yeah.
when we understand that, is what is at the root of us being so attracted to that, hold that baby.
Mhm.
So
There's where the
true.
true
We
essence of the
spend
healing can
oh,
begin.
so much.
What's that?
We spend how many years of our lives? Like, you're about, oh, Spirit told me 13, 14, when your mother says, my house, my rules. And then when I grow up, I'm going to be this and do that. And I'm going to have this kind of house and I'm going to do. And we spend all of our adult years being the antithesis to what our parents perhaps wanted us to be. Some not, but my experience. And then we get the house and the car and the dog and the cat and all those things. And then the children leave the home. And we look at our life and then we start minimalizing and reducing and going down the other path. And I think that's why so many people around the age of 45 to 55, that crisis. Now, what am I going to do with my life? You look at the person next to you that you have to retire with. Look at how many divorces there are in the 50s. So interesting. I can't believe they were married for 60 years and then they got divorced. And I'm like, I can. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But I
That's
love how
okay.
you wrap. I love how you wrap that up, Jay. And that's what it is. And that's what I mean. That's why Nancy's show is called "Recover Your Joy." Because that's what it is. It's about the joy. It's about the love. It's about what makes you happy.
What matters most.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's yeah, it is. It's what matters most. And that's a different question for every person. And there is the accumulation of energy and things is a normal human experience. It's normal. We have a home. We have a bed. But it's finding where the why, why. And living life pain free. It's what we
It
all
doesn't mean
want
we're not
more
going to
of.
have emotional moments where we have painful moments. We will. It's part of the experience. But it's a choice, as Daphne has said so eloquently, to stay living in that muck, that pain, or being the victim. Or you raise your arms in the air and you experience something within yourself that most of us never tap into. I call it the superpowers. We all have superpowers within us. And when you finally meet that part of yourself that you have been hiding from or has been hiding from you, which is where your superpowers call home. Once you experience your superpowers, you will actually evolve into what I refer to as the humbled warrior.
Mhm.
And when you meet your humbled warrior within, now this isn't the fighting warrior. No, no, we did enough of that. That's what got us here in the first place. The humbled warrior is a peaceful warrior. The humbled warrior is the loving warrior. The humbled warrior is a true essence of who you are, not who you've become. And when you finally meet that warrior, the pure essence of love, self love,
Yeah.
you're home. And that, my friends, is what matters most, at least for me.
That's the mic drop moment right there.
That is the mic drop moment. That is the mic drop moment. And when we transition through the different experiences in our life, to do so with grace and love is possible. It's possible, and it's the promised land. And
Yep.
it's not this proverbial promised land that you read about in the Bible or you see on the movies or anything else. It is the promise. It truly, truly is. It's awareness often. I remember years back, a dear friend of mine asked me to, was part of a deep dive program. She asked me to monitor my judgments of others for a day. Whew. Wow. Then we met for that, the weekly check. And then she asked me to monitor my judgments of myself for a day. They were the same, more or less. They were the same. Yeah. When we can come together in love and compassion, I think it's why Daphne and I have had so much fun with the different guests that we've had. So this we are recording here on January the 9th, and it's going to be aired on January the 28th, which is the episode after Courage Under Fire.
Perfect.
Which is a brilliant beginning. And I mean, it wasn't planned that way. The episode before that is Bitter Blessings. It wasn't planned that way. There's so much amazing in life. And when we can begin to just listen to another, wow. Yeah, we've all got lots to say and it's exciting. But listening, we get to know a person on a level that is so beautiful. It really is. So as we begin to wrap this up, Jay, you had a podcast that I listen to often, and that has changed and evolved, or is it still evolving?
Which one are you referring to? I've had three
There
over
were
the past 5.
the four,
Real Men, Real
the
Talk.
four. Yes, that one.
Okay, Real Men, Real Talk Live. Yeah, we've been on hiatus since I don't know, a couple of weeks into December. We're still on hiatus, looking at revamping the show. One of our co-hosts has exited, Josh Richer, who is one of our founding co-hosts. He's decided to go in a different direction, so we wish him well. But with him stepping out, right now, I'm kind of just in pause. I'm looking at where I want to take the show and bringing some fresh perspectives into the show. We just wrapped our 177th episode, and the show is really about, although it's called Real Men Real Talk Live. 54% of our viewership are females because they want to understand their husbands, their fathers, their brothers, their siblings, their friends, their employers, their employees. And so it's a show for both men and women. And each show is we live stream. We don't edit. You could catch all of our archived episodes on YouTube. That's where we house all episodes by topic, by title, and it's a journey. Each show we go in with a topic, and we never know where it's going to evolve or where it's going to go. And many shows we have breakthroughs, we have epiphanies, we speak truths, we hold the space for one another, and each one of us have had what I'll refer to as a life filled with experiences, wisdom, pain, love, and success. And success is just a personal interpretation of what that even means. But it's my greatest passion project I've ever embraced, and it's still in my heart. I am also contemplating bringing back another podcast called Real People, Real Health, and that's one for those that have opted out of traditional Western medicine sick care. Those that have a story of inspiration to share how they have self healed or holistically healed, utilizing different modalities that it appears you have embraced, Daphne, as well as I. I was diagnosed with conditions that Western medicine said they're not reversible. You need to be in pharmacy for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm no longer on any pharmacy, and I no longer have any antibodies or any symptoms of conditions that they said were non-reversible, they're gone. Um, they've dissolved because I believed it was possible. So there's where I'm at. I got a couple of passion projects. Thank you for asking me about that. We are on hiatus. We'll be back in 2024.
That's awesome.
Beautiful. Beautiful. There's a lot there, Jay. There's a lot there when you talk about people that have chosen to exit the sick care system. Oh, yeah. Big topics there. Big, brave topics, too,
Yeah.
especially as we continue to walk down the path. Yeah.
So I want to thank both of you ladies so much for trusting me today, inviting me in. I think we connected not that long ago, right before the holidays, and I shared that it's been a long time since we have had a deep conversation,
Yeah.
and I offered to. I said, look, I'd be honored to have an opportunity to join the two of you and do your show. And so,
Yeah.
thank you for inviting me in. Hopefully, I've brought something forward that somebody needs to hear that inspires them to have the courage to embrace this journey of coming home, to return to love of self, and finally understanding in life what matters most.
But
Daphne, I love you so much. Thank you all, moon and back. And until next time, peace out.